In other news, Singapore has objected to what it calls a false portrayal of the country in a recent opinion video by the New York Times that advances the US media outlet's own agenda. The video features Mr Li Shengwu, nephew of Singapore Senior Minister Hsien Loong. Singapore ambassador to the US Lui Tuck Yew says the younger Mr Li had made misleading analogies about the island state in the video.
This video by the New York Times features 4 people who claim they experienced repression in their countries. Among them, Mr Li Shengwu, son of Mr Hsien and grandson of Singapore's founding Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew. In a letter to the publication's editor, Singapore ambassador to the US Lui Tuck Yew calls the video a commentary on the current state of US politics. But he says it draws in Singapore via misleading analogies by Mr Li Shengwu, who's masquerading as a persecuted dissident. Mr Lui adds that Mr Li Shengwu has never been exiled from Singapore, jailed, or stripped of his possessions. He remains a Singapore citizen who continues to travel freely on a Singapore passport. Mr Li Shengwu made several claims in the video.
I posted a private Facebook comment to my friends only, and the Singapore government went after me with a criminal prosecution.
In reply, Mr Lui says Singapore takes the rule of law seriously, and Mr Li Shengwu is not above the law. He was charged for contempt of court in 2020 and has already paid a fine. The ambassador adds that there are no outstanding charges against him and he is free to return to Singapore anytime he wishes.
It is better to refuse rather than to give in and hope that somebody else will be the check and balance for you.
Mr Li says Mr Li Shengwu can contest in the next general election if he so wishes. The ambassador adds that it is deeply regrettable that he has chosen to denigrate the very country his grandfather had a pivotal role building. Mr Lui adds, contrary to the dark picture painted in the video, Singapore ranks 16th on the 2024 Rule of Law Index and 5th least corrupt on the 2023 Corruption Perceptions Index, well ahead of the US for many years. He says that while it is not for Singapore to comment on US domestic politics, it must object when the New York Times uses a false portrayal of the country to advance its own agenda. Mr Li also responded to a separate article by the same publication earlier this month. In it, Mr Hsien repeated his claim that he had obtained political asylum in the United Kingdom because he feared being unfairly jailed in Singapore over a public tussle with his brother, former Prime Minister Hsien Loong, about their family home at 38 Oxley Road. Mr Lui says that Singapore does not have a first family and nobody is above the law, least of all the offspring of the late Mr Lee Kuan Yew. Mr Li also refers to what he calls a befuddling but revealing correction in the article. It stated that a panel of judges ruled that Mr Hsien's wife, Mrs Lee Suet Fen, had given a contrived and ultimately untrue account of her role in handling the late Mr Lee's will and lied under oath. Mr Lui questions how contrived and ultimately untrue is not a lie. He adds that the judges had also said Mr Hsien was not telling the truth in his sworn evidence in an earlier disciplinary proceeding. This is why the couple were investigated for possible perjury. Mr Lui adds that they refused to cooperate and left the country, claiming persecution. The Singapore government had earlier responded to the New York Times queries in December. It says Mr Hsien's claims to the media are meant to distract attention from the fact that he and his wife were both found by the court to have misled the late Mr Lee Kuan Yew in the execution of his last will and testament. They were found to have lied under oath. The government adds that the Ministerial Committee on 38 Oxley Road did not inquire into the last will, as Mr Hsien alleges. It also invited and received representations from all of Mr Lee Kuan Yew's children. Findings were also published. On allegations that Mr Hsien Loong harboured dynastic ambitions for his son, the government says none of his children have expressed any interest to enter politics.